What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel for today's comic book review. And today I'm going to be talking about Hawkman issue number 23. This book is being published by DC Comics. It's being written by Robert Venditti. The pencils are done by Marcio Takara and Fernando Pasarin. The inks are done by Marcio Takara and Oclair Albert. And the colorist is Jeromy Cox. The letterer is Leigh. The cover is done by Mikel, Janin. And the variant cover by Gerardo, Zaffino, and Hawkman was created by Gardner Fox. Now, in case you guys haven't been keeping up with Hawkman, basically what has happened over the last handful of issues is he was infected by the Dark Multiverse. His character Carter Hall was infected by the Dark Multiverse, and he basically became the Sky Tyrant. The Sky Tyrant took over, which is one of his past lives. And he, in case you don't know, Carter Hall basically reincarnates. He has a bunch of past lives and everything that he's lived from the beginning of time all the way through now. A bunch of different past lives, and over like the last 10 issues or so, we kind of learn a little bit more about that. Now, I know you guys are probably sitting here going, Trinity talking about a DC comic book? Yes, I actually got into Hawkman a little over a year ago from Comic Man Jake at his suggestion. I'll leave some links in your card somewhere up here or down in the description where you can go and check out Comic Man Jake's channel. Very cool guy. Make sure you go check him out. Subscribe and stuff, if you like his content. Tell him I sent you. But he got me into this book, and I really enjoyed it. I got into issue 10, and issue 13 is when a new story arc picked up. And that's where I really got into it, because that's where we learned a little bit more about Carter Hall. Like, I really kind of got invested in that character, because I wasn't aware of who the character was. And this was a great jumping in point on issue number 13. As I will say that this issue right here, issue number 23, is probably a good place to jump in for this new story arc as well. Now, like I said, I didn't really know a whole lot about Carter Hall, Hawkman, or anything before this. I actually learned some about what Robert Venditti has done with this character from another channel I was doing a live stream with somebody on one day, and I believe it was Long Box Diving. I'll make sure I leave a link to their channel on the cards and down in the description as well, where they were kind of telling me what Robert Venditti did here with the character since he took over, which was kind of taking a bunch of different kind of loose storylines, past versions of this character, and kind of tied them all into one. I won't confess to know a whole lot about it or anything. There's certainly a lot of people out there that know more about this than I do. But just learning what I learned ever since issue 13 all the way until now was very helpful in getting me invested in this character just a little bit more. And then after he got infected by the Dark Multiverse and became Sky Tyrant, it was a very exciting time in these comic books, and that's kind of what's been going on over the last couple of issues until we get here in this issue, where issue number 22 kind of seen where it was like the climax of that series where Carter Hall, or Sky Tyrant in this case, which is basically the evil version from Earth 3, which is like a mirror universe where where good is bad and bad is good. You might know something about that if you read these DC books. So that's what's been going on. It was a really great climax, and he was actually saved by his basically longtime flame, which has kind of been a recurring theme for him, which was HawkWoman. And so we see at the beginning of the book, we see them falling through this just kind of dimension where it's kind of in between essentially our world and just essentially between worlds. And then we end up coming up upon the scene where we end up back in like 1660s Spain, and that's where we end up getting where our story pretty much kicks off, and we see that there is this character here that shows up at this house, and this character name, his name is Don Salon, or Carlo Salon, Dr. Carlo Salon. And you can see he's dressed up there in the garb, like, with the plague and everything. He's got like his mask on, but as we can see, it's a little bit different, and is really reflective of Hawkman. And so he shows up to this house. He's meeting with this guy. His name is Don Alvaro. I guess that's where I got Don from. Don Alvaro, and he's going through this house. He's there to help Don and his family. And he's going through, showing some scenes where you can kind of see that, there are some empty bedrooms in this pretty big house. And so he's there taking a look at the guy's wife, seeing what he can do to help her. The guy, Don, was telling him, like, hey, there's been other people by trying to help her. and they were not able to help her. And he proceeds to tell him, like, yeah, no, that guy, he was found a couple of days ago with some unopened bottles of his supposed cure and a whole bunch of money. Basically, he was taking advantage of people and things like that. He wasn't able to cure anybody. So this guy, this Don Alvaro, ends up trying to attack this Carlo Salon here, and they kind of get into a scuffle. He ends up going through the town after dealing with this guy. Goes through the town and investigates other people, and he's saying that he's from the census is what they're doing. So he's going through all of these different houses, and eventually he kind of comes across enough of these townspeople where they all kind of feel the same way about him, and they end up kind of capturing him, and they, basically they're looking at him as he's the reason the plague is here. He's the one spreading it, and because he don't have it, and they all are, and they're dying. So they basically tie him up at the stake to burn him like a witch, which he's kind of goes into a little spiel telling him, like, hey man, I was here to save you, but he tells him, like, I get it if you hate me, and pretty much tells him, hey, do what you have to do. And they're sitting there, the townspeople are all calling him a demon and everything. They really want nothing to do with him. And next thing you know, he does end up getting saved here, and he ends up getting saved by none other than another census taker. Somebody else taking the census, right? So anyway, there's a very cool conversation going on here between this other person that shows up to save him and the townspeople. Everyone is dying. It is a way of life. If not from plague, then war, famine, or old age. That infirmary takes all things in time. And she's kind of telling them that, like, everybody's going to die at some point. And she says, the fear that drives you is this madness. It is the true sickness. Plague may take your lives, but fear will take what makes you human. If you allow your fear to burn this man, then you've already lost the point of living. And so the townspeople end up all turning around and returning home. She ends up saving him, and they're kind of walking off into this sunset. And obviously we learn that this is a past version of Carter Hall. The story ends in a way which is going to kick off this next story arc. Altogether, I've got to say, I really did enjoy issue number 23 of Hawkman. Like I said, I just got into this series, really like 10 issues ago, honestly, basically a story arc ago, or a trade paperback, if you will. Very good story here. I like this story. I like what Robert Venditti has been doing with this character, but this story in particular, I really enjoy this story because with everything going on in the world right now, I thought that this story did really kind of have, it almost had a message in it. I don't think they planned this way, obviously, because this was supposed to come out like last month, but I thought it was very convenient, this message and the story that was in this book compared to everything going on out there in the world right now. But let me know down in the comments below, have you read Hawkman? Do you read Hawkman? If so, what are your thoughts? And let me know if you read this book. I know a lot of people out there aren't buying the digital comic books and things like that. Like, I get it because I'm not a collector, but I like my physical copies. I love supporting my local comic book shop, Bases Cards and Comics, right here in Lancaster, California. This is one of those books, and I know some people have different feelings on it, but when this book comes out, I'm still going to end up buying the physical copy of this book because I just like having the physical copies. But let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed, click the little bell and all of that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down if you don't, or for whatever other reason that people leave thumbs down for. I don't know, it's just weird to me. Like me, I usually, if I don't like a video, I just don't interact with it at all. But hey, man, I don't know, there's just weird stuff going on out there. But while you're at it, make sure you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and read some awesome comic books, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.